Other than that, good luck, and thanks for listening.
All right,
Insight on Disability.
Thank you, Harry. And we are back with Rick Stripp, who is the author of Mommy, I Wish I Could Tell You What They Did to Me in School Today. His son, Dan, who is a special needs teacher. Brian Wynn, who is on the phone with us from Autistic Playground. And also on the phone with us, I want to go to this call very, very quickly. Elizabeth, who won the book of yours a couple of weeks ago, wanted to say hi and thank you. And
I wanted to thank you very much for the book. It really opened my eyes because when I was a kid, I was picked on. And I was just recently found with mental disability, so I understand where you're all coming from. Because I'm 60 years old, and 3 years ago they diagnosed petite mole seizures. So I understand what disabilities are. And we had a special needs an adult in our neighborhood, and the kids would always pick on him, and I tried to defend him and try to be very nice to him. Well, so I do thank you for the book, and I read it in a couple of days, and I really appreciate what it says, because in our family we have a special special needs cousin that's in high school, and my cousin says he's doing very well, and he's respected by the kids in his school, and they say hi to him and they're polite to him.
All right, Elizabeth, this is Richard Stripp, the author of the book. I'm glad you enjoyed it, and if you can pass the message along. We have to get the word out to keep these innocent children safe. So thank you very much, and thank you for calling.
All right, thanks. Yeah, she's gone. Okay, let's get back to the topic at hand here. To kind of tie in what we did earlier with the regard to the bullying of, her lady's name was Karen Klein. It seems to be way too much of this going on nowadays. Just all the way across the board, don't you think so, Rick?
Yeah, I do.
Or is it just that it's because of the fact that there's so much, there's so many phones that it's finally just actually being caught?
It's being caught. It's being talked about more so than ever. I think this type of thing always went on. We just weren't aware of it as much. That tape that you played is very disturbing. It's disturbing to me as an educator, as a parent, and just as a human being that someone would treat another human being like that. The good news is that those were children, and children can learn to make themselves better people. That's all part of growing up. What's disturbing is, which is what I talk about in my book, is I have witnessed that type of thing myself the other way around, where it was the educators, the teachers, and the assistants, and the aides and such talking that way and in that manner to special needs children. So
yeah, and let's touch base on that a little bit, because we're actually not going to have a ton of time here. But you've played some sound bites for me that are pretty sickening, actually, and these are people who are in charge of some of the special needs schools up in the New Jersey area. And let's touch base on the two that we were talking about, the 3-year-old, if we can just go ahead and into that a little bit. And then, Brian, I'm going to want you to make a comment in here in just a few minutes.
Okay.
All right, and I'd like to mention, too, Brian not only is the founder of Autistic Playground, the Facebook page, but he is also a father of an autistic young man. So he certainly has concerns, like all parents do, but even more so because his son is autistic. So that's why we're really happy to have Brian with us tonight.
Thank you.
The first soundbite you're going to hear is the principal of a school talking about a little girl that was brought down to the nurse's office having difficulty breathing. And instead of calling 911, the school chose to call the parent and have the parent come and pick up the child. And I was not in school that day, but it was my understanding that what I was told is that it took the mother over an hour to get there. And you're going to hear the principal of the school talking to me about this incident, and she says how the nurses told the mother to call, to take the child not just to a doctor, but directly to an emergency room. So let's play that soundbite, and then I'll comment on it.
And it's kind of tough to hear, so you just have to listen very closely. Go ahead and hit track 5 there, anyway.
A couple of months.
Uh-oh.
You know, you could talk to your blue in the face. The nurses had her mother in here and said, take her to a doctor. She is not breathing right. I was there. I was in that room. And mother understood English very well. She said, yes, I will take her to a doctor. The nurses said, you need actually to take her to an emergency room. She's not breathing right. Now, the mother says she took her to the doctor, and the doctor sent her home, and they found her dead in her crib the next morning. This is god-awful. So, we can't blame the mother. The nurses said, take her to a doctor.
Okay, it's a little difficult to hear, but what the principal is saying is that they told this mother to take the child to an emergency room. We don't know if that was ever done, but the fact of the matter is that the next day when the mother went to wake up the child to bring her back to school, the child had passed away.
But why is it that the child had to sit there for an hour waiting for a parent to come? Why wasn't the...
Yeah, why the hell wasn't that
called? Why wasn't 9/11 called?
Exactly. Right. And if you don't mind, Mike, I'm going to read right from my book here.
Okay, go ahead.
I found the principal's statements disturbing in many ways. According to the principal, the nurses, the school's medical professionals, acknowledged to the mother and to the school's principal that Julia's medical condition was so severe that it necessitated her to be brought to an emergency room. That being the case, why was 911 not immediately called? Why was the mother called instead and asked to pick up Julia while the little girl was in respiratory distress? Why was Julia allowed to be placed in a car and driven away by the mother without anyone accompanying them to assist what was obviously a medical emergency? I would also think that even if the nurses did not want to call 911 for whatever reason, that the principal of a school that serviced special needs children, many with severe medical conditions, would have the common sense to have 911 called in that situation. She did not. Julia left the school in a car when she should have left the school in an ambulance, never to return.